Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Monday Night Horrors. We would like to start off by thanking WZQR Pine Island, Right Talk, and Ross at Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio. And thank you to Sportcat for allowing us to do our show every other Monday night. We appreciate you. And let's welcome out Cheyenne.
And it's
Hey.
80s night, and I'm
Oh,
feeling right.
yes, it's
Woo!
80s night. Oh, what a night.
I'm excited. I'm so
Me
excited.
too. These
Like
are
kick
some
it.
of my favorite movies.
Yep, yep. As I've said a million and a half times, like my top five favorite movies, four of them are musicals. Only one of them is not a musical, and it is 80s night. I'm super
Oh,
excited.
me too. You'll have to let us know in the chat what your favorite 80s movie is, favorite 80s horror movie, and see if we talk about it tonight as one of our favorites.
Yeah, there are so many for the 80s to talk about and so many good ones. We were talking we might end up having to split this one up depending on how long it takes us here. Especially for one of them we've got coming up here. I've got quite a good snippet of info about it that I thought was really interesting, but so many good movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies from the 80s, so we may have to split this up over 2 weeks just to talk about all of our favorites and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. But we will start off from 1980, and I did these uh, with who they were directed by instead of who they were produced by or their companies and stuff this time. So we are going to start off with 1980 with The Fog, which came
Mm.
out February 1st by John Carpenter. That got a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb and a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then we were coming back through Beckley last night. I was like, oh God, it's the fog. there, there, there had we had gotten so much rain here. I don't know about you guys, but I was just like,
Oh, yeah.
we cannot see like a car length in front of us.
Mhm. It's been
So
really bad.
yeah, so that stars Adrian Barbeau as Stevie Wayne, Jamie Lee Curtis as Elizabeth, and Janet Leigh as Kathy Williams. So strange things begin to happen as a tiny California town prepares to commemorate its centenary. Inanimate objects spring eerily to life. The Reverend stumbles upon a dark secret about the town's founding, and radio announcer Stevie witnesses a mystic fire, and hitchhiker Elizabeth discovers the mutilated corpse of a fisherman. Then a mysterious iridescent fog descends upon the village, and more people start to die.
It's a great movie.
So thankfully, that was not how my night ended, but you know.
Thankfully.
And yes, Chris, Scooby Doo always counts.
Yeah,
Always
Chris, of
counts.
course Scooby-Doo count.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
But yes, I mean, anything by John Carpenter,
it's
I think is
fantastic.
fantastic.
Yeah,
But
love
also,
John Carpenter.
back to Chris, anything Scooby Doo to me, anything Scooby Doo is fantastic.
Mhm.
Except for when we get into the newer live action. If it does not have Matthew Lillard, I don't want it. It's my own personal opinion.
My first TV was black and white, telling my age here. I was actually born in 81, so we'll be talking about that year here in a second. And I didn't even know that Shaggy's shirt was green, like, for the longest time, or Fred's tie was blue. So it was amazing when I finally got to see it in color on TV and see all everything.
And if anybody can tell me where you can watch Scooby Doo, where are you? Because there are a lot that you can watch on Max now, some of the older ones, but like the original Scooby Doo, where are you? I cannot find anywhere. So if somebody could point me in that direction, I would appreciate it.
I have several
Because
on DVD, like the Globetrotters and
mhm,
such.
I do too. I have a lot of pup named Scooby Doo, and whenever I worked for Goodwill, I just collected all the Scooby Doo DVDs I could get because as a kid, I used to watch that on Cartoon Network all the time. But I loved like Scooby Doo on Zombie Island was my favorite. Scooby Doo
Yes.
and the Witch's Ghost. So I
Mhm.
had all of those on VHS. The only one I didn't have was Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, and we had over in Winfield, which was like right across the river from where I grew up. We had um, a little tiny video rental store, and I would every time would just nope, just need to watch Scooby Doo on Zombie Island for 3 days over the weekend. I'm good.
Hey, KG.
So next we will go on to this one was released a couple days later on February 7th, and I am going by when it was released in Italy on this one because of the movie it is. But we go into Cannibal Holocaust, which was directed by Ruggero Deodato, which got a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb and a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. Bear with me with the Italian names going forward. If I maim them terribly, I apologize. Uh,
Same here.
we we have Robert Kerman as Professor Harold Monroe, Francesca Ciardius as Faye Daniels, and Perry Perkinen as Jack Anders. Story is about an anthropologist that ventures into the Amazon rainforest as a rescue mission where he recovers footage shot by a film crew documenting their disastrous encounters with local cannibal tribes. This movie is often found on your like top 10, top 20 list of scariest movies of all time. Take that as you will, because typically on that list is also House of a Thousand Corpses, which is laughable. Just for the fact of putting it on there that it's the scariest movie out there. I do love Rob Zombie. I love myself a good Rob Zombie movie, but definitely not the scariest out there. But some interesting tidbits about this movie, though. Where after its premiere in Italy, the film was ordered to be seized by local government. The director, screenwriter, and 3 producers were convicted of obscenity and murder after an article was published alleging that some of the film's deaths were real. The murder charges did end up being dropped when the director was able to produce the supposedly dead actors in court, but he and the film's backers were convicted of animal cruelty, a verdict that was later overturned in '84. The film was banned in UK, Australia, South Africa, and several other countries due to its graphic content.
Wow.
Although some nations have still, or although some nations have since revoked the ban, it is still currently to this day banned in several countries.
Huh. That's crazy.
Yeah, that I have watched a lot of like YouTube compilation videos with facts on different movies and have had read up a lot on that with the fact that it's a movie and they actively were trying to charge this director with murder for a movie. I just thought was very interesting.
Jeez.
So, but like that also, when like I was saying with the list of the like some of the top 10, top 20 scariest movies out there is part of a long list of movies that in a lot of places are still banned due to how graphic it is. But then we will move on to May 9th of the same year with the classic Friday the 13th by Sean S. Cunningham, which got a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb and a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, where we get Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Voorhees, Adrienne King as Alice, Kevin Bacon as Jack, and Janine Taylor as Marcy. Obviously, the classic, a group of teenage camp counselors attempt to reopen an abandoned summer camp with a tragic past, but they are stalked by a mysterious, relentless killer. I mean, just the classic of classics there for slasher movies. Not the best one out there, but it's you gotta love it nonetheless. I wasn't really a big Friday the 13th fan, but I can still appreciate it for what it is.
Great movies.
Then we go to Prom Night, which came out July 18th by Paul Lynch, which got a 5.3 out of 10 on IMDb and a 45% on Rotten Tomatoes, where we got good old Leslie Nielsen as Mr. Hammond, Jamie Lee Curtis as Kimberly Hammond, and Casey Stevens as Nick McBride. At a high school senior prom, a mass killer stalks 4 teenagers who were responsible for the accidental death of a classmate 6 years previously.
Great movies. We recently just watched all of those again.
I wasn't the biggest fan of that one, but I really liked the remake that came out like mid 2000s, I think it was.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I believe that one had Brittany Snow as like the lead woman in it. It was pretty good. A different concept than that one. Like the whole trying to think of like the way to word it. What they basically did was took the concept of prom night but switched around the story a little bit. I won't give away any spoilers on that, but it was interesting. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I found it like one of those that was kind of it was an interesting idea to take, a classic and kind of change the narrative of it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to check it out.
And then we end the 80s with my personal favorite, The Shining, which came out on November 7th by a Mr. Stanley Kubrick, which got an 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb and 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, where we get Mr. Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance, Shelley Duvall as Wendy Torrance, Danny Lloyd as Danny Torrance, and Scatman Crothers as Dick Halloran. A family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter, where a sinister presence influences the father into violence. At the same time, his son sees horrifying forebodings from both the past and the future. Love that movie so much.
I know you do.
I have still yet to figure out fully how that movie explains that they faked the moon landing, but one day I will find out.
What?
You haven't heard that? That the shot you'll have to look it up, but I have a feeling because the only correlations that I have seen is there is one section of the movie where Danny is wearing a sweater that has a rocket ship on it. But apparently in And I agree, Chris. 83% is a
Hmm.
joke. Uh, Apparently, this movie was it, and there's a documentary about it as well that he threw in Easter eggs everywhere that uh, that he helped fake the moon landing.
That's crazy. Crazy.
And I was very on the fence about watching Doctor Sleep as well, with how much
Oh, I loved it.
with how I did love it. It took me a bit to watch it. I was a little about, like, is this going to make me look at things differently? But I absolutely loved it. Uh, Loved how much more they delved into things. Um, and wasn't it Jack Nicholson's son that was in it playing him?
I believe so.
I was very impressed by that.
Hmm.
So, and this is like, it's certainly not a feel good movie, but this is one of my feel good movies that if I want to throw something on in the background or throw something on to fall asleep to, it's always The Shining for me. It's either The Shining or Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'm a weird individual. I don't know, but God, Abe, get out of here! Get out of here!
He does. I'm reading this like, yeah, he's not a huge fan of Stephen King.
See, I'm all over anything Stephen King. Um, so then we will move. Okay. So you've got to finish telling us
Oh, yeah. One of my
what's
favorite movies are on this
okay.
list.
All right. What do we got
So,
for 1980?
of course, some of these we've never heard of. I've never even seen. For those who don't know, we have over 1,000 horror movies in our horror movie closet, and some of these I still haven't heard of. So we have Alien Dead, Alligator, Altered States. That's a good one. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Anthropophagus, Beyond Evil, Blood Eaters, The Boogeyman. That's a good one. Cannibal Apocalypse and Cannibal Holocaust. We have The Changeling. That's good. The Children. Christmas Evil. That's a great one. We watch it every Christmas. We have City of the Living Dead. Cries in the Night. The Curse of King Tut's Tomb. That's a great movie. We have Death Ship. Demented. Don't Answer the Phone. Dressed to Kill. Eaten Alive. Effects. Fade to Black. You covered The Fog and Friday the 13th. The Fog, we watch at least 3 times a year. It's great. We've got Godsend, The Hearse, He Knows You're Alone, Hell, Hell of the Living Dead, Humanoids from the Deep. And let's see, we've got Inferno, Island Claws, La Casa Sperduta del Parco, La Nuit de la Mort, Long Island Cannibal Massacre, you covered that. We've got Macabro, Mama Dracula, Maniac, The Monster Club, Monstroid, Motel Hell, Mother's Day, New Year's Evil, Nightmares, Night of the Demon is phenomenal. It's definitely a great movie you want to check out. We have The Other Hell, Phobia, The Return of the Werewolf, Scared to Death, Schizoid, The Silent Scream, Terror Train, To All a Good Night, The Unseen. One of my favorites, The Watcher in the Woods, is fantastic. We're Going to Eat You, Without Warning, and Zombie Holocaust.
Lord, zombie holocaust. Good Lord.
So the 1980 was a great year. Lots of
Hmm.
great movies on there.
And to Abe's comment, Abe, what did you think about Bloodlines? Because I could not get myself to watch the newest Pet Cemetery, but I watched Bloodlines, which was like the prequel, and I thought that was fantastic. I'm so sorry, Shane. We will add that to our. What year was that? We will be sure to add that. We will be sure to add that to our list of ones to review. Just
Shane.
Glenn will put the email link down below. You can send that over to him. We'll be sure to review that for you.
Shane, the next time you're staying in our guest room, I think there's a bunch of photos in here from my first wedding.
Oh, see, Shane, look just above here. There, you can email us the video. We will do a live reaction. Oh, see, we'll be getting into the 2000s before long. We'll be sure to review. We'll be sure to review that for you.
There we go.
We got more homework to do.
Oh, Abe. We'll have to check it out. Silver Bullet is definitely one of my favorite Stephen King movies.
See, I was worried about that as well, that it was just because of where they put it. The problem is putting John Lithgow in. I wasn't down for that, but the idea behind Bloodlines I thought was really interesting. I was just like, screw it, I don't have anything to watch. So I put it on and I was like, okay. Okay. It has a slightly similar vibe of like the original, but there's like that tinge of it, but obviously, it's something completely different. But I think it was very good. So I highly recommend anybody that enjoys Pet Sematary to check out Bloodlines as like a prequel, and it was very good.
We'll have to check it out.
Because
Welcome, Carlos.
As much as I love Stephen King, I can openly say that there is a lot of trash of his. One thing we will touch on it later, but I will mention it now since we're on the topic. If you have not seen the video of coked out Stephen King promoting Maximum Overdrive, I highly suggest you do it. I think that is probably why the movie is in all caps. The title's in full all caps because he was coked out of his mind. And in the video, the whole time he's like, so.
He's living in all caps.
Mm-hmm, yep. He 1,000,000% was at that time.
Next, we have my birth year.
81. And we will start off with Friday the 13th, Part 2, which came out on May 1st by Steve Miner, which got a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb and a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes, where once again we get Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Voorhees, Amy Steele as Jenny, John Furry as Paul, Adrian King as Alice, and Warrington Gillette as Jason. So 5 years after the events of the first movie, a summer camp next to the infamous Camp Crystal Lake is prepared to open, but the legend of Jason is weighing heavy on the proceedings. You think maybe they might have picked like a couple towns over or something.
Right.
Because I feel like, you're going to get granted, it was the 80s, so it was a little bit different, but you could just picture now people like, well, that's literally just 2 miles from Crystal. No, we can't send the kids there. We're just, the kids are fine.
No matter how fast you run, he walks faster.
Yep.
It goes for Jason and Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm. I did put in the notes for the show of maybe, because I was in doing the the math between when the last Halloween movie came out. But who knows? Maybe after 44 years, we'll figure out how they still haven't killed him yet.
Right?
Because I was like, oh, okay, it's been like the last one came out in 22, so it had been 44 years between the first one and the last one. I was like, they still
Yep.
can't kill him.
Nope.
Uh,
That's crazy.
and then I would have to say probably my favorite one for the year, before it got a little goony with part 2, but we get The Evil Dead, which came out October
One of my favorites.
15th by Sam Raimi. 2 is definitely my favorite, but I mean, I love Bruce Campbell, so.
Oh, yeah. I have a
Little,
picture of Bruce
little,
and I somewhere.
little baby Bruce Campbell at this point. Where he almost, in that entire movie, he almost looks a little bit like Stephen King in the Maximum Overdrive video. He's just kind of like the whole time.
Yes, especially in part 2. He really does have that look about him.
I mean, I feel like in part 2, he has a little bit of a reason to, of which I will not spoil for obvious reasons. But you know what I'm talking about.
It's from 81. He's got a little bit of... If you haven't seen it by now, then you are not a horror movie fan.
All right. Well, when your hand ends up becoming possessed and you've got to chop it off and you replace it with a chainsaw, you've got a right to look a little coked out.
Yes. Oh, and when it has like the deer head on the wall, I think that's the first one. He's like with the, and it's the deer is doing it and he's doing it.
I wish in the first one they would have. I mean, I understand obviously why it wasn't like that, but I wish in the first one they would have went about it with the same attitude that they had in 2 and 3 and just made it that goofy.
Yes. Yeah. Great movies for being like B movie. It's legendary.
Oh yeah.
But
so, and I mean, amazing. You look at part 2 as well, and like they didn't need anybody else. They just threw Bruce Campbell in there, and he was all you needed.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, part 2, it's basically him.
Yep. I for the longest time on Facebook, I had made my own, which we will talk about that one further on our next show when we cover the 90s. But I had made my own, and I didn't even really like Army of Darkness as much. Part 2 was my favorite. But I had made my own banner for my Facebook with him, with the girls down the side of it, and he's just got his arm up with the chainsaw.
In Army of Darkness, he's trying to pronounce Necronomicon, and it kind of reminds me of when I was trying to read it on here, and I couldn't read it. Like,
the necro book thing, the book thing with the face.
And when he's in front of everybody, he's like, "This is my boomstick."
Yep, that was. Yep.
I love it. Love all the Evil Dead movies.
Yep. And it made me really sad to watch the newer ones, and that they couldn't. They were trying to make it so serious, and now you're like, come on, no.
Yes. I went by myself to watch the new Evil Dead movie, and it was just me, and I was like, yes, this is going to be awesome. At the last minute, this couple walks in, and I swear they set one seat over from me in an entirely empty theater. Left one seat between me and them.
In my own personal opinion, the only thing worth going to see the new one was for the after credits scene.
Yes.
Groovy.
Yeah. It was good, but it's kind of like Star Wars. You had to go see it and just take it for what it is. You can't base it on the originals.
Yeah. I mean it wasn't bad. but just when you're
Enjoyed it.
like, could it have been like, you can't, like,
Yeah.
come on.
I think
I
my favorite part was her, like, in the water, that scene of her in the
hmm
water. Yeah.
and just, and too, with Evil Dead, how many, movies came after that so heavily based on that. You got like Cabin in the Woods. The immediate first one that I think of so much off of this is Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I mean, it
Yep.
was, I mean, legendary. But
Yeah.
we we get the fabulous Bruce Campbell as Ash, Ellen Sandweiss as Cheryl, Richard DeManer as Scott, and Betsy Baker as Linda. Five friends travel to a cabin in the woods, which always ends fantastically, where they unknowingly release flesh possessing demons. Did you did you all, like, mid 2000s, get those car insurance commercials that were the friends that were stuck in a cabin, and they are passing a a barn or something to hide in. They're all like, "No, we've got to hide out here over in the open." It's just like, "But the barn is right there." And they go and hide behind an open car door, and you just, from over where the car is, a guy turns around, like, takes a mask off, and he's got all sorts of, like, knives and stuff hanging, and he's even like,
It sounds familiar.
and it was like, you have to be protected in all life scenarios.
Oh my
That's what it makes me
gosh.
think of.
It
I've
sounds familiar.
I'm pretty sure it was for insurance, but that it makes me think of that too.
That's great.
And then to end out 81, we have Halloween 2, which came out October 30th by Rick Rosenthal, which got a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes, which starred Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, Donald Pleasance as Sam Loomis, and Dick Warlock as the Shape.
Yay.
While Dr. Loomis hunts for Michael Myers, a traumatized Laurie is rushed to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, and the Shape is not far behind.
Great movie. I actually got to meet Dick Warlock at Scarefest one year.
And I feel like that was an interesting, an interesting take on that happening in a hospital. Like, all the options you have, all the options in a hospital
Right?
you have. Granted,
Yeah.
I do not know how large Haddonfield Memorial Hospital is, but I'm sure they had options. Like, we could
We
pull
had
a Freddy versus Jason, and uh they like drugged him up to get him to, what was it, to get him to sleep so that he had to go fight Freddy. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, they had him in the back of the van.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It
Yeah.
was like right after you see Freddy come in as like the giant caterpillar because the dude's high as hell. Options. There's so
Yeah.
many options.
Oh goodness. Let's see. We had some other great movies in 1981. We had The Alchemist, Allison's Birthday, An American Werewolf in London. Great movie.
Yes.
The Appointment, The Beyond, The Black Cat, Blood Beach, Bloody Birthday, Bloody Moon. A lot of bloody movies.
I would like to take a minute to point out Chris's comment here. Dick Warlock is a strong name. Could be a regular person, a porn star, or a band.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
I would listen to that band. Is it just a giant, like, the cover for the band is just a giant phallus in a cape, or with a Gandalf beard? Who knows?
Who knows?
But a lot of blood movies in 81.
Yes. We've got The Burial Ground, The Nights of Terror, The Burning, Cannibal Ferox, Dark Night of the Scarecrow. That's one of my favorites. Have you seen that?
I have not.
So, yeah, you gotta watch Dark Night of the Scarecrow. They're really bad to this guy and kill him, and he comes back for revenge. We've
As they
got
often do.
we've got Dawn of the Mummy, Dead Buried, Deadly Blessing, Demonoid, Dr. Jekyll at Les Fims, Don't Go Into the Woods, Don't Go Near the Park. Let's just not go anywhere.
Let's just
Just
not. We're
so
not going
creepy.
anywhere. Okay. Don't go to the hospital. Don't go to the park. Don't go in the woods. First rule of
Don't
horror
go.
movies: team up.
Don't go to the cabin in the woods.
Yep.
We've got The Entity, Evil Speak, Eyes of a Stranger, The Fan. That's a good movie. Fear No Evil, The Final Conflict, Final Exam,
A lot of finals as
Full.
well. Do we got
Mm-hmm.
final blood?
Right.
Final bleeding?
Full. Finally Dead.
Thank God, after 44 years.
We've got Full Moon High, The Fun House, Galaxy of Terror, Ghost Keeper, Ghost Story, Graduation Day, Great White. Let's see. The Hand, Happy Birthday to Me, Hell Night, Home Sweet Home, The House by the Cemetery, The Howling. Oh, that's a great movie. Oh,
Yep, I believe Carlos had mentioned both The Howling and Graduation Day.
yes, I love The Howling. The Incubus, The Intruder Within, The House Possessed. That's a made for TV movie. I don't think I've seen that. Inseminoid, Jaws of Satan, Just Before Dawn, The Loch Ness Horror, Looker, Madman, My Bloody Valentine. Great
Yes.
movie. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. There's also a remake.
Hmm.
Um, if
Early
you can,
2000s remake, I believe.
yeah, it was in 3D. I'm not sure if you can still get it in 3D, but it came with the 3D glasses and everything. We have The Nesting, Nightmare, Night School, Omen 3, The Final Conflict, Piranha the Spawning, The Pit, Porno Holocaust, Possession,
Por-
The
porno
Prowler.
hol- Porno
Do,
Holocaust?
do we need to go back to that one, Cheyenne?
I wanted to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes,
I
Porno
can
Holocaust.
I can imagine enough of it in my brain. We're good.
We have we have Satamania, Saturday the 14th, Scanners. Scanners is good. Strange Behavior, Student Bodies, great movie. If you haven't seen that, you must see it. There Was a Little Girl, Venom, Wolfen, and Zombie Lake. Lots of great movies in 81.
Yes. I have so many questions.
You'll have to Google that one.
Yeah,
Porno
that's
Holocaust for anyone who wants to Google that.
yeah. Chris, you have a we have a project for you. I need notes after. Thank you.
We need a full 10-page report.
Yep. Single spaced. Yeah. Inseminoid would be a perfect tour combo with Dick Warlock.
Yeah, Abe and I love My Bloody Valentine. I think we actually just watched it on Valentine's Day.
Very romantic.
Yeah. Yeah. We try. On Halloween, we watch Halloween.
It's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. We do that.
So then we will go into 82, starting off with Poltergeist, which came out June 4th by Toby Hooper. which got a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb and 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, which stars Craig T. Nelson as Steve Freeling, Jo Beth Williams as Diane Freeling, Beatrice Straight as Dr. Les, Dominique Dune as Dana Freeling, and Heather O'Rourke as Carol Ann Freeling. A family's home becomes the center of paranormal activity that opens a doorway to the other side. With help, they must cross over to get their daughter back. I believe we could add Poltergeist to the list of many movies that people lost their absolute shit over.
It's one of my favorites. I love it. I even love the new one. That was actually the first movie Abe and I ever went to the theater to see together was the new Poltergeist movie. And I love it. It's just I love the new one and how they use the drone to fly in and see the other side because you didn't really get that with the original. You had to like just kind of guess what the rest of it looked like over there.
Mm-hmm.
But some of my favorite movies, Poltergeist 2, fantastic. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's just not a bad Poltergeist movie.
And then another one of my favorites after that, which came out on June 25th, we have The Thing, also by John Carpenter, which got an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb and an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Hold on, I need to judge that. I guess how. Okay, I will say I feel like it is slightly fair that got 2 points higher than The Shining, but I will still sit here and be salty about it. Maybe because it got a very hairy Kurt Russell.
Oh, yes, Jane. The stuff around Poltergeist is better than the movie. Now everybody started dying really weirdly who was in the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. Like that being added to the list of
Yeah.
uh, movies that crazy shit people started losing their shit after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it's like it was how that happened with Poltergeist was something like very similar of stuff that happened, like with the making of the Passion of the Christ as well.
Yes.
So, um, and
Very
uh,
weird.
when we were talking last time about The Exorcist, like Lord, the stuff that people were claiming was happening after that. So
Yeah. Crazy.
guess they just weren't ready for that level of horror in the 80s. But I would be interested to take a deep dive into like the poltergeist of the things that happened with everybody around that to see like the correlations of everything.
Yeah. We may have to have an episode on that.
I agree. I would be
Yeah.
very interested to look into more of the details of that.
Yeah.
So something to look forward to, everyone. Deep dive into
Yeah.
the poltergeist.
So we were on The Thing.
Yes, so we get Kurt Russell as McCready, Wilford Brimley as Blair, T.K. Carter as Knowles, and good old Keith David as Childs. A research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. I will allow the 2 points ahead on Rotten Tomatoes above The Shining for visuals. I will say that those 2 points go to visuals uh, because that was a damn good movie.
Abe said diabetes.
Diabetes, all the diabetes. Wilford Brimley.
Oh, that's great, Chris. Yes, DDP, Deep Dive Poltergeist.
Yep. Now, Chris, what else does that mean that we don't know about?
Diamond Dallas Page.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. We'll just put him as the picture for that episode, and everybody will have to infer from there. And And then continuing on for 82, only 2 years into the 80s, and we've got Friday the 13th Part 3.
Here we go. Still can't
Uh,
kill him.
I hope y'all are ready because it's going to be a long night. That came out August 13th by Steve Miner. Got a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb and only an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. Where we get Richard Brooker as Jason, Gloria Charles as Fox, and Richard Howard as Chili. Jason Voorhees stalks a group of friends who have just arrived to spend the weekend at a cabin near Crystal Lake. When will they learn? When will they learn?
Never.
And I find it very, very humorous with these movies as well. Just the same plot, but location changes. Just a slight shift in location. But yeah, we're still in we're 2 years into the 80s and we're already at part 3. So buckle up, everybody. And then we go into November of that year with Creepshow, which came out November 12th by George A. Romero. Which got a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb and a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. This Creepshow is very similar to Tales from the Dark Side, of it being an anthology movie, which I really appreciate. Or I meant to say Tales from the Crypt, which we had covered before, but also Tales from the Dark Side, because the Tales from the Dark Side movie I think is probably my favorite. But we get Adrienne Barbeau as Wilma Northrup, Leslie Nielsen once again as Richard Vickers, Ed Harris as Hank Blaine, and Stephen King once again in his own movie as Jordy Verrill. So in this one, we get 5 grisly tales from a kid's comic book about a murdered father rising from his grave, a bizarre meteor, a vengeful husband, and a mysterious crate's occupant, and a plague of cockroaches. Very good comic book. I have a copy of Creepshow, and I think it's very good.
I haven't
Chris,
seen the comic book, but I have seen the movie.
The comic book is very interesting. It's got like a skull Stephen King on it, which was kind of neat.
Oh, that's cool.
But yes, Chris, you would think that perhaps they would come to expect something different, but it was the 80s, a different time. Perhaps they thought that he would get bored and stick around the same location or something. Who knows? Just wait till he gets to Manhattan. And then to finish out the year, we get Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which came out October 22nd by Tommy Lee Wallace, which got a 5.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, which stars Tom Adkins as Daniel Chalice, Stacey Nelkin as Ellie Grimbridge, and Dan O'Hurley, I'm going to say it's O'Hurley, as Connell Cochran. Kids all over America want silver shamrock masks for Halloween. Dr. Daniel Chalice seeks to uncover a plot by silver shamrock owner Connell Cochran. Still don't understand why that was part of the Halloween franchise, but that's just my own opinion. Oh, a Mexican horror movie from the 80s, Poison for Fairies.
Huh.
Oh, thank you,
We'll
Carlos.
have to see if that's on our list.
Oh, we could watch that on We could watch that on AMC Plus. Okay, very interesting.
Nice. Season of the
Of
Witch
course,
may be my
of
favorite
course,
in the
it's got
two.
to be your favorite, Abe.
Ah,
So
he loves them.
what else do we got for 82?
We have some great movies for 82. So we have The Aftermath, Alone in the Dark, Amityville 2, The Possession. Fantastic. I think Abe said that is what he considers the scariest horror movie. We have Attack of the Super Monsters, Bacterian, Basket Case, The
Hmm.
Beast Within, Blood Tide, Boarding House. Abe said, I will be singing the commercial all night. We've got,
You got to deal with them at least.
I know, right? We've got The Boogans, Cat People, The Curse of the Screaming Dead, Dark Sanity, Deadly Eyes, Death Screams, Don't Go to Sleep, The Dorm That Dripped Blood, Fall of the House of Usher. One of my favorites. For those new here, I love Vincent Price, and this is Edgar Allan Poe.
Makes it even better.
It's fantastic. Love it. Put those two together, you're going to
Yes,
love it.
please.
Yeah. We have The Forbidden World, The Forest, Girls' Night Out, Honeymoon Horror. That's great. Hospital Massacre, The House Where Evil Dwells, Humongous, The Last Horror Movie. Not sure why it's called that, because we had many more afterward.
They were just hoping. They're like, we're going to put it out there, and
This is it. No more.
mhm.
We have The Living Dead Girl, Manhattan Baby, Midnight, Mil Gritos Tien la Noche, Mongrel, Murder by Phone, The New York Ripper, Next of Kin, Night Warning, Oasis of the Zombies, Parasite, Pranks, Q. I think I saw Carlos mention Q earlier that you went to see it in the theater. We have Satan's Mistress, The Sender, The Slayer, The Sheriff's Strange Son, The Slumber Party Massacre. Yes, Carlos. I know that's in our closet of horror movies. We have Superstition, Swamp Thing, which
Yep.
um, I think everyone has seen. The Thing, you covered. Unhinged, Variola Vera, and Visiting Hours. So lots of great movies in 82.
I agree, Abe. Demons, domestic abuse, murder, and incest. I mean,
Who could
that's
ask
horror.
for anything more?
That's horror. I feel that.
Yeah.
So then moving on to 83, we start out July 22nd with Jaws 3D. I've gotten so much crap for liking that, but I love how
Really?
when you watch it now, how cheesy that scene is. I love it. And
I can't
I'm
see 3D. It makes me so frustrated.
um I'm not one to like movies that you would consider bad, but I just love that as it's just swimming in place towards the
Yes.
getting ready
Yeah.
to hit the glass, and I get the biggest kick out of it. It just makes me laugh.
Ah, I love
But
it.
hold on, that's getting low on the same point as Friday the 13th Part 3. Ooh, got worse on IMDb.
Oh gosh.
So that got a 3.7 out of 10 on IMDb and a 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe I could just stand it a little bit more because of Dennis Quaid.
I love Dennis Quaid. Love
So
it.
we get Dennis Quaid as Mike Brody, Bess Armstrong as Dr. Catherine Morgan, and John Putch as Sean Brady. A giant 35-foot shark becomes trapped in a SeaWorld theme park, and it's up to the sons of Police Chief Brody to rescue everyone.
Love
Which
it.
I think that was probably a movie that made a lot of people afraid of aquariums, despite how
Yes.
cheesy it was.
Nightmares for me all the way around.
Yep.
Sharks, fish. I don't like fish. Like, no.
Well, and that was funny. We had just went to the aquarium, and I was just like, because in a lot of those, typically it's you used to just walk right through, but now it's got like almost like a little escalator where you just stand there and it takes you along through it. And I'm like, oh, thank God it's not very big sharks in here. But something that was crazy and makes me wonder if there were bigger sharks there, which I wish I would have gotten a picture of it, is when we like finally looped around towards the end. On one little corner, there was a little red sticker, and up above that, you could see where there were marks on the glass, and it was saying that this was like the scratches were from a shark attack in 2002.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and like the sharks that were in there were only like, there was like the sawfish fish, that have got the, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like some really small sharks, and then like some medium sized ones. I don't remember what kind they were, but still have got like the crazy teeth poking out. But there weren't any like super big ones. So I'm like,
And it did that.
oh yeah. So I don't know if maybe at one point there were bigger ones there, but like I was like, shit, that you've got to document it with a sticker of like, yeah, these scratches on the glass are from a shark attack.
Wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have
So,
nightmares about going through an aquarium and the glass starts breaking and
mhm.
I'm going to be touched by fish. I have nightmares.
I'll be sure not to send you all the fish pictures I have then.
Oh my god. I have tons of pictures from aquariums on my phone, and I go through aquariums, I enjoy it, but, I mean, just
You just don't want
nightmares.
to go. You just don't want to go like touch the skates and stuff.
No, I don't do any of the touching stuff. I watch everyone else touch, and I'm like,
Like,
"Ugh."
okay, I'm just, yeah, it's good for you over there. Now, one thing I thought was very interesting with those like the sawnose fish, because you could stand whenever you first come through, you're walking through like the top, um, and you're kind of looking over. And then as you
Mhm,
make your way through is when you come down and you like ride through it, or you could walk through it. But those
mhm.
things, like we were watching, and all of a sudden, you would see that nose lift up out of the water like a significant amount, and I was like, "What is it? What is it doing?" It's like,
Yep.
is that how it's looking for food, or what? What the hell, man?
One year for Valentine's Day, I took Abe to the aquarium. He loves sharks.
Hmm.
So I took him to the aquarium for Valentine's Day and we got to like pet a penguin and they had food set up all throughout the aquarium so you got to stop and eat little snacks as you went through.
Hmm.
And on the glass they had stickers of how they mate. And it was really neat.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
Huh.
it was how different species mate and everything. It was really cool.
Now, the part that I think I thought was probably the coolest was when we were coming around one lower point. They had baby hammerhead sharks there, Abe. That was cool. Um, uh, but we got around to the seahorses, and they had like all the little pregnant seahorses. Um,
Oh.
but how they will hold themselves to sleep is to wrap their tails around whatever is there. So there were so many of them, even that were probably like literally that big, with their tails wrapped around the grass or whatever was in there just to hold themselves there. And I thought that was so
Oh,
neat. I hadn't
that
seen that before.
is.
And everybody's just like, "Oh, look, it's all the pregnant daddy, seahorses." There were so
Oh,
many of them. I was just like,
oh,
"Good
that's
Lord,
awesome.
when they pop, there are going to be so many, so many seahorses."
Oh, that's
But
so cool.
I thought that was cool. I was like, "Oh, they're hanging on. That's how they sleep. They've got to hang on." Oh,
That's so cool. Chris, I love Bass Pro Shop. I go in. I do.
she just stands out there and shames people, and she's like, you nasty asses.
Touching your fish.
What's wrong with you? They didn't ask to be touched.
Throw them back. No, just take them and eat them all. Like, get them all out of the water, so I
Yeah,
don't have to worry about
just
them
don't
anymore.
make me. You take them out. That's fine.
Oh, gosh.
And then continuing on in '83, we've got Cujo, which came out August 12th by Louis Teague, which got a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, where we got Dee Wallace as Donna Trenton, Danny Pintaro as Tad Trenton, and Daniel Kelly as Vic Trenton. So Cujo, a friendly St. Bernard, contracts rabies and conducts a reign of terror on a small American town. What,
Abe,
what craziness are you doing at home?
that's at Bass Pro Shops.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Have you not?
she's leaving her fingerprints on all over everything is what she's doing. Okay. She's just touching everything.
I do like to climb on the ATVs. In
I
them.
don't blame you
I like
there.
to get in the ATVs and,
I mean, you gotta
see.
make sure it feels right.
Yeah.
Even if you ain't gonna buy it, just
And
for
I don't
future.
touch the glass on the gun cases. I just look at the guns.
But what about that one? And that
I
one?
just, yeah, I'm like,
That
I
one?
need that one and that one and that one and that one and that one. Yeah.
Like 2 of those would be great. Do they have that in a different color? Do they have that in matte black? Okay, great.
Right.
Yeah, Abe's got to walk behind her with a wet wipe. Just gosh, damn it, Amanda.
Don't touch the steering wheel on that ATV until I wipe it down.
Gosh, it's like following a child sometimes. Just leaving her cheesy fingerprints all over everything.
My bag of Cheetos. Like, oops.
Can't quit. Everybody quit giving her the free bags of popcorn. She's leaving her buttery fingerprints everywhere.
Rural King. I didn't start the fire.
Oh gosh, Amanda, quit eating the Cheetos. We haven't paid for those yet. It's such a big store. I've got to have a snack to walk around.
My Kentucky breakfast of Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, Abe does look up and I'm gone. Because I'll be walking through
Ooh.
I'll be walking through a store and be like, squirrel. And
Say,
I'll
ooh,
just go
shiny.
off over here. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that sounds pretty much like me too. Just no one, that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Oh.
Have you seen the headband you can wear? It's a headband and it has an arrow pointing down. It's a huge arrow like over your
Oh my
head so
gosh.
people know where you're at in the store.
I need one of those. Does it just gotta have like a flashing light down? Totally off topic, but it just made me think about that. Have you seen Vampires Suck?
I don't think so.
It's the scary movie version of them making fun of Twilight.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
I'll have to send you a clip from it
Okay.
in reference to that. Yes,
I might have to watch it.
at one point the most that it's worth is for you to be able to say, yeah, you saw it. It's not worth anything past that. And some interesting references. But she, like, the girl that's playing Bella, like, rips off her clothes, and her bra and panties have lights on them, and her panties look like a runway with the lights with an arrow pointing down, and it just.
Oh my gosh.
And that's exactly what it made me think of.
Jeez.
But anyway, we will end 83 with Christine, which came out December 9th by John Carpenter, which got a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb and a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes, where we get Keith Gordon as Arnie, John Stockwell as Dennis, Alexandra Paul as Lee, and John Prosley as Daryl. A nerdish boy buys a strange car with an evil mind of its own, and his nature starts to change to reflect it.
It's a great movie.
I'm starting to wonder if Stephen King had a thing for vehicles.
Definitely. Yep.
There will be a trend.
Yep, there is. There is.
So what else do we got for 83?
Okay, we've got American Nightmare, Amityville 3D. It was the year of 3D movies.
Mm-hmm.
The Beast and the Magic Sword, A Blade in the Dark, Fog. We got Boogeyman 2, Brainstorm. That's a good one. Chained Heat, Curtains, The Dead Zone, The Deadly Spawn, The Demon Murder Case, The Demons of Ludlow, The Devonsville Terror, Disciples of the Crow, Eyes of Fire, Frightmare, House of the Long Shadows, The House on Sorority Row. I know we've got that one. The Hunger. We've got Julie Darling.
It was just Amanda wanting her Cheetos.
That's right. The Keep. You can find me in the ATV. We've got Mausoleum, Microwave Massacre. Haven't seen that one.
I'm intrigued.
That one stopped me. Yeah. We've got Mortuary, Nightmares, One Dark Night, Panic Beats, Psycho 2, Scalps, Scream Time, Skullduggery, Sledgehammer, Sleepaway Camp.
That would be another good band name. Skullduggery.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes, Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp. I've met like all the actors from that movie. They were all at Scarefest one year. For those who don't know, I used to volunteer at Scarefest, and we used to get to hang out with everybody. So that was a lot of fun. Sleepaway Camp, those movies are great if you've never seen them. Great movies.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Soul Survivor, Something Wicked This Way Comes, one of my favorites.
A fabulous Ray Bradbury book.
Yeah, great movie and book. We've got Spasms, Sweet 16, Videodrome, Extro, and Zeter.
Zeter.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know what massacre was going on in the microwave.
In the microwave? Yeah, that one stopped me. I was like, what?
Well, with some of the B movies that I have heard about, with some of the stuff that they come up with, I would not be surprised if it's like a possessed lean cuisine goes through a haunted factory, and once it gets put in the microwave, it starts attacking people.
Right.
Like it pops up, and like the slits that you cut in it to let it vent are now the eyes and mouth, and it's just.
Abe said, I think Skullduggery is a rapper.
So I can see that.
The TV dinner, it killed your guts.
Yep. I like Chris's there is just putting cheese in a metal bowl on high for 45 minutes.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Uh, my son was staying in a room with someone who put a honey bun in the microwave for like 10 minutes, and they were staying in a hotel, and we almost had to evacuate. We were next
I'm
door to them in
I'm gonna
another
assume
room.
he hit one too many zeros.
I think one of the guys in his room, did it on purpose, and it
Mm,
set the fire alarm off, and Kurt was
fantastic.
trying to, like, wave it and everything, and it wasn't working.
Yeah, I just with the when you think of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which is just tomatoes rolling along the road killing people, I can imagine maybe it's a haunted microwave.
Oh, I never thought about that. Or possessed. Yeah, it's like a possessed microwave. I'm
So many good
intrigued.
ideas. Yeah, I am too. I need to know. Hold on, we are gonna take a moment and I'm gonna look up the so it was it Microwave Massacre?
Uh-huh.
Microwave Massacre.
It says, "A man
A
kills
man
his
kills his
wife in a
wife.
drunken rage and disposes of her body by cooking and eating it, which gives him a taste for human flesh."
And
So it's all
shocker, you can find that on Tubi.
yeah. So I guess he cooks her in the microwave, and
I like our ideas better.
I do too. But that doesn't
Yeah.
seem as good as what I was thinking.
Mm-mm. No. 4.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 34% on Rotten Tomatoes. But it got a 5 out of 5 on Arrow Video, whatever the hell that is. Yeah, no. Come on, Tubi. We got better ideas for you.
We need to make a movie.
We we'd have so many good ideas.
Yeah.
So then we are going to start into 1984. Hope you guys are ready for more Friday the 13th. So we start off 84 with Children of the Corn, which came out March 9th by Fritz Kirsch, I think. Which got a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, which stars Peter Horton as Bert, Linda Hamilton as Vicky, John Franklin as Isaac, and Courtney Gaines as Malachi. A young couple is trapped in a remote town where a dangerous religious cult of children that believes that everyone over 18 must be killed. Meh. It's
Yeah.
meh.
Yeah.
Uh, the first one, again, I feel like it's one of those that's, worth the watch to say you've watched it and good for you,
Yeah.
you've watched it, but and any reference of which you can use he who lies beyond the rose. I think I said that correctly. But yeah, that's about it. Meh. It's meh.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched that. It's probably been over 20 years since I've watched it.
Oh,
Not
hold on, I
something you
gotta.
go back and watch.
No, it's one of those that's like, I get kind of like I was saying about Vampire Suck. Really, the only thing good about it is that you can say you've watched it, and that's you've wasted an hour and a half of your time.
Yep. I don't think I even continued on watching them. I maybe watched like the first couple.
Yeah, I just watched the first one, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, kids cult,
Yep.
great. I think I'd rather go watch The Wicker Man.
Oh my gosh.
So then we are moving on to Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. Not the final chapter.
It will never be the final chapter.
can't even kill his ass in space. Which came out April 13th by Joseph Zito, which got a 6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. Starring Eric Anderson as Rob, Judy Aronson as Samantha, Peter Barton as Doug, and Kimberly Beck as Trish. And guess what? Same plot, different location. After being announced dead and taken to a morgue, Jason Voorhees spontaneously revives, escapes from the hospital, and stalks a group of friends renting a house in the countryside. Guess where it's near? Crystal Lake.
It would have been better if he had spontaneously combust.
Yeah, you know. And you know, guys, that is only part 4. We've got, I believe, part 8. We've got up to part 8. Hold on. Yeah. Part 8, he makes it to Manhattan. Guess what? Still not dead.
Abe said, not as long as they are making money.
At this point, I think people go just to be like, okay, is he gone?
He's gonna die.
Is he gone? No? Shit. Well, there was $20 down the shitter. All right. And then next we will go on to Firestarter, which came out May 11th by Mark L. Lester, which got a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, a shocking 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, where we get a baby Drew Barrymore as Charlie McGee, Heather Locklear as Vicky McGee, Martin Sheen as Captain Hollister, and my favorite Ebenezer Scrooge, George C. Scott as John Rainbird. As youths, Andy McGee and his future wife Vicky participated in secret experiments, allowing themselves to be subjected to mysterious medical tests. Years later, the couple's daughter Charlie begins to exhibit the ability of setting fires with her mind. This volatile talent makes the youngster extremely dangerous, and soon she becomes a target for the enigmatic agency known as the Shop. Another.
I love Drew Barrymore.
I do. Yes, I do love Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Chris is on a roll tonight. Chris, I'm definitely stealing that one. If I start my own group of what I'm going to start my own business and just call it $20 down the shitter. I like that. That's such good ideas. I will quote you in the trademark.
I wonder if Timu considered that name before going with Timu.
I think it would have been like $10 down the shitter at that point.
Right?
No, Chris, I'm gonna just jot you in there, and special thanks always to Chris for the idea.
Speaking of Chris, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
Like, follow, share, subscribe, everybody.
All the things.
We are getting so close to monetization, and any of your help is greatly, greatly appreciated by all of us here.
Go back and watch your favorite episodes.
Or ones you haven't seen, because we are just a hoot and a half.
Yeah.
Because
Go back and watch them.
Just put them on repeat. Just keep them playing.
Yep.
We'll always be in your heads.
Yep. Just listen
we will
to
make
our
you
voices.
We will make you feel a little bit better about yourself mentally. Because we are nuts, and that is why we're here.
Yep. You're welcome.
What can we say except you're welcome?
All right. Did you have anything else for 84, Cheyenne?
Yes.
Okay.
To continue on, we have got the Gremlins,
Yes.
which came out June 8th by Joe Dante. It's got a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb and an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. Where we've got Zach Galligan as Billy Peltzer, Phoebe Cates as Kate Berenger, and Corey Feldman as Pete Fontaine. A gadget salesman is looking for a special gift for his son and finds one at a store in Chinatown. The shopkeeper is reluctant to sell him the Magua, but sells it to him with the warning to never expose it to bright light, water, or feed him after midnight. All of this happens, and the result is a gang of gremlins that decide to tear up the town on Christmas Eve. So both horror and Christmas movie.
Love it. I think we actually watched that around Christmas time.
That was Magua was one of the names that we contemplated for one of my cats because she looks like one.
That's great. I love it.
And then we also have probably my favorite classic to start out November 16th, A Nightmare on Elm Street by Wes
Yeah.
Craven, which got a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb and a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Starring the fabulous Robert Englund as Freddy, Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson, and Johnny Depp as Glenn Lance. Midwestern teens fall prey to Freddy Krueger, a disfigured midnight mangler who preys on the teenagers in their dreams. After investigating the phenomenon, Nancy begins to suspect that a dark secret kept by her and her friend's parents may be the key to unraveling the mystery.
Definitely one of my favorites.
Because when the law won't step in, you take the law into your own hands.
I mean, I love this movie so much. I've even considered getting a tattoo
Mm-hmm,
of of the claws like
mm-hmm,
ripping through my leg.
mm-hmm,
Um, I love it. It's just
mm-hmm.
so like who comes up with this, you know?
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of those very much like
Yeah,
that. But when you look at the the full backstory of everything, you're kind of like,
yeah,
what headspace were you in
yeah,
to? I mean, I guess that's the ultimate fu to people like that, but that's crazy. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I totally agree with you there.
I love how you can't if you're like on this side, you can't see him, but people are like just going up the wall and blood's just flying
Yeah.
everywhere. Just it's so great.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
great.
I mean that's scary. That's that's the point of like you can't that is something so far beyond your control.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
and
love
then
it.
to end out um, 84, which I was very upset was not on the list that I went through. I would have felt very bad had we not mentioned it. So we have to end 84 with the Toxic Avenger for love for Lloyd, and I was honestly a little surprised. Got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
Where we got Mitch Cohen as the Toxic Avenger and Mark Torgel as Melvin Junko. Uh, the quickest gist of the movie is a 98-pound nerd from New Jersey lands in a vat of toxic waste and becomes a benevolent monster. That is putting it very lightly.
Uh, I
Yeah.
love Lloyd Kaufman. I got to chat with him for a while one day, and he's he- he's something.
I
Very
believe it.
nice, very opinionated. And you wouldn't think it from his movies. Like you would think he's just this, nutball, and he's
Hmm.
very like, this is what we're doing, this is how it is, this is what they're gonna do. And he's just a wonderful person. He is.
And
Crazy movies, but he's awesome.
I, I I can't say that I whenever I finally saw it that I liked the movie, but it was an experience that I feel like everybody is required to have, of how goofy it is. But with a lovely love story in it, with such a kind love story of going from Melvin to the Toxic Avenger. I think the thing that I found most humorous was the voice change for me. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, and even if you're somebody like me that does not like purposefully bad movies, you've got to see it. It's an experience.
Oh gosh.
So what else do we have for 84?
For 84, we have Blood Song, Chud, great movie. It's actually C period, H period, U period, D period, Chud.
What
We've
does that
got
stand for?
Abe, I can't remember. Let's see.
Abe, what's Chud?
It is Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers. I
All
never
right.
can
Okay.
remember it.
All right. All right.
Then we have Combat Shock, The Company of Wolves, Death Warmed Over, Dogs of Hell, Don't Open Till Christmas, The Evil Fairies. I think Carlos mentioned that one before. We've got The Initiation, Innocent Prey, Invitation to Hell, Monster Dog, Mutant, Night of the Comet, The Prey, Piranha Mandir, Razorback. I think we've seen Razorback. Satan's Blade, Scream of Help, The Sea Serpent, Silent Madness, one of our Christmas movies we watch every year, Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Mm-hmm.
Splatter University, and Terror of the Isles.
All right. So then going into 85, once again, we get Friday the 13th, A New Beginning,
Yeah.
which came out March 22nd by Danny Steinman. Got a 4.8 out of 10 on IMDb and a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. Stars John Shepard as Tommy, Shavar Ross as Reggie, Debbie Sue Voorhees as Tina, and Tiffany Helm as Violet. Years after Tommy Jarvis murdered hockey mask serial killer Jason Voorhees, he resides in a mental hospital and struggles with the trauma of the experience. When Tommy moves to an isolated halfway house, he has nightmares of Jason's return, and soon one of the patients is killed. As the body count grows, Tommy begins to question his sanity and wonder if Jason has risen from the dead. But to determine the killer's identity, Tommy will need to survive. So we had the final chapter and then the new beginning. They were trying to fake us out there.
Well, it had to like come to some sort of an end to have a new beginning.
It's
So
very true.
spooky.
Maybe they could have just said, like, the final part of this chapter.
Then we're gonna start over.
Yeah. And then we have
Uh-oh, I think
Demons, which came out May 30th by. Did I freeze there?
yeah, a little bit. What
Okay.
movie is this?
Demons,
Demons. Okay.
which came out May 30th by Lamberto Bava, which got a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. Stars Carl Zinni as Ken, Natasha Hovey as Cheryl, or Urbano Barberini as George, and Fiore Argento as Hannah. A group of random people are invited to a screening of a mysterious movie only to find themselves trapped in the theater with ravenous demons.
Nice.
Like, are you getting paid? Or, like, because you can't just say, hey, come watch this random movie. Like, what were they bribed with?
I don't remember Demons.
That was a big one that I was told needed to be on the list if we were discussing good movies. Whatever.
Mhm.
But just similar to Microwave Massacre, I have questions. Like, were they offering, like, hey, you come see this, you get like free T-shirt and a coupon for Dairy Queen or something, or like, I don't know. It was 85, I guess, depending on
I think
when
maybe
the movie.
so intriguing, to go see the screening of this movie. They're like, what movie? What's it going to be about? Like, it would be so intriguing. They just went.
Yeah, and I'm like, but like, how'd they like pump it up? Like, it's gonna be like innovative. It's gonna be great, or like, I don't know, just questions.
Yeah.
And then we move on to Fright Night, which came
Yes.
out
One of my
August
favorites.
which came out August 2nd by Tom Holland, which got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb and an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, starring Chris Sarandon, aka Prince Humperdinck, aka Jerry Doddridge, William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster, Roddy McDowell as Peter Vincent, and Amanda Burse as Amy Peterson. Teen Charlie is a horror film junkie, so it's no surprise that when a reclusive new neighbor moves in, he becomes convinced he's a vampire. Nobody believes Charlie, but after strange events begin to occur, he has no choice but to turn to the only person who could possibly help, washed up TV vampire killer Peter Vincent.
Great movie. Love it. Love it.
Yep.
It's fantastic. The new one is too.
I have not seen the new one, but I have seen the older one, and
Oh,
I.
I love David Tennant, and
Mm,
he's in the remake. It's fantastic. You'll have to check it out.
I do enjoy David Tennant.
Yes. Abe
And
says, "You've seen Demons. It's good. Part two is the exact same movie. I think it even used some of the same actors." Wendell, I agree. Wendell says, "Jeepers Creepers was scary and boring." I agree it was boring, but not scary.
it scared me whenever I was younger,
Yeah.
but like that was about, like, I'll watch it now and it's kind of like.
Yeah.
But we also, at the time, whenever I saw it, lived in like a really creaky old house, and I don't like anything that, like, anything in the dark freaked me out. So I happened to walk through while my parents are watching that, and the house is all dark and creaky, and I'm like, uh, uh,
Just waiting
nope,
for it to pop out.
yeah, nope, nope. I'm gonna be sitting there like that old man at the end of part two, waiting for that, waiting for him to jump out of there just to.
Oh my gosh. I
Uh,
love vampire movies though. So
hmm
Fright Night is like up there with like The Lost Boys. I love The Lost
hmm
Boys. And I always say like if I had a superpower, I would want to be a vampire.
I can agree with that. Just what, but like what kind of vampire though?
I would want to be like Interview with a Vampire.
Because like there are so many kind anymore. Like I
Right.
kind of like the idea of like um American Horror Story Lady Gaga vampire.
Yeah. That kind of
So
goes along with Interview with a Vampire because I want to be rich, not have to work.
mhm.
Like,
Absolutely gorgeous, flawless skin, just
yeah, yeah. So they are kind of similar with
mhm.
Lady Gaga and Interview with a Vampire.
Well, and I mean, I think after you're alive that long, you're starting to save money because you don't really. I mean, you're not spending money on food.
I love it. Yeah, I
Just
love vampire movies.
have a nice luxurious mansion with all your workers who know exactly what's going on, but they're too scared to go work anywhere else.
Right.
But of course, you pay them fantastically and you treat them like family, but they're still absolutely terrified of you.
Fright Night also comes with some comedy.
hmm
Not too much, but just enough. Great
hmm
movie.
Now, my favorite one for the year, Return of the Living Dead, which
Yeah.
in the what I can only classify as older group of like the kind of campy horror movies was like the first one that I saw. Absolutely love it. Wonderful soundtrack. Which came out August 16th by Dan O'Bannon. Got a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb and a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Stars James Karen as Frank, Clu Gallagher as Bert, Don Calfa as Ernie, Leanna Quigley as Trash, and Jules Shepard as Casey. When Frank shows new employee Freddie a secret military experiment in a supply warehouse, the two accidentally release a gas that reanimates corpses into flesh eating zombies. And you get Tarman. That's my favorite part.
They are great movies.
The opening music to that is my favorite. But yeah, out of all of them, that one's probably my favorite. James Karen as Frank is absolutely hysterical. And there's a tidbit of when you watch the DVD with like like the voiceover where they're telling you about the movie as it's playing.
Mhm.
Um, because Leanna Quigley in that is dancing on top of a crypt at one point and rips her pants off and has a full prosthetic crotch. Uh, uh, James Karen was like, I kept waiting for them to ask me whenever I wanted to do a nude scene. I was perfectly down to do it. And I love him as Frank. The chemistry that him and Clu Gallagher have together as Bert, I think is fantastic. James Karen is just such an idiot in that movie. It's great. Absolutely love it.
Oh, there's some really good movies.
And then we will end out 85 with Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge,
Yes.
which came out November 1st by Jack Shoulder. It's got a 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb and a 42%. What
Ish.
was it?
I said ish. 5.5.
Yep, 5.5 out of 10 and a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. Where once again, Robert Englund as Freddy, Mark Patton as Jesse, Kim Myers as Lisa, and we get Clu Gallagher again as Ken. A teenage boy is haunted in his dreams by deceased child murderer, Freddy Krueger, who is out to possess him in order to continue his reign of terror in the real world.
Love it. All
Absolutely.
of them. They're all great.
Yep.
Let's see. Also for 85, we had Attack of the Beast Creatures, The Bad Seed, The Barbaric Beast of Boggy Creek, Part 2, The Bride, Cat's Eye, Chiller, Creature, Dario Argento's World of Horror, Day of the Dead, The Doctor and the Devils, Future Kill, Hard Rock Zombies, The Hills Have Eyes Part 2, Howling 2, that's a great one, Life Force, Midnight Hour, Mr. Vampire, Murder Lust, The Mutilator, Nail Gun Massacre.
Lord.
Here's another one. Here's going to be another one for Chris to look into. Nudo a Selvaggio. Once Bitten, Phenomena, Reanimator, Rocktober Blood.
Another good band name.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Silver Bullet. We were talking about that earlier. Great movie. The Stuff, another good one. Too Scared to Scream.
But what is the stuff?
It's the stuff.
It's the stuff.
I don't think it's good stuff.
That's fair. That would be me naming them. I don't know. It's the stuff. It's just the stuff.
Just the stuff. We've got Twisted Illusions, Underworld, Warning Sign, and Women in Fury.
Okay, let's see. Now we're getting into 86 here.
86 was a big year for horror movies.
Yes, I had to severely cut down this list. And I've got to get my phone over on some of this one. Get out of the Microwave Massacre. Oh, gosh. Okay, so we are going to start out 86 with the Aliens, which came out July 14th by James Cameron. Got an 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb and a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Starring Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley, Bill Paxton as Private Hudson, and Lance Hendrickson as Bishop. After floating in space for 57 years, Lieutenant Ripley's shuttle is found by a deep space salvage team, and mayhem ensues. Then, not too long after that, on the 25th of July, we get Maximum Overdrive. Lord Help 'Em, which was also directed by Stephen King. It's got a 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb, a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, The only two main parts you really need to worry about are Emilio Estevez as Bill and Laura Harrington as Brett. And Stephen King, of course, naming himself very high up at the top as Man at ATM. A group of people try to survive when machines start to come alive and become homicidal. I will say for that one, the only part that I really cared for on that one was Stephen King's part at the beginning. Honey, this ATM just called me an asshole. Just asshole, 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 asshole across the screen. I got quite the kick out of that. I mean, iconic movie, but that's the only part on that movie that I care about. How these people weren't. I mean, I understand all of technology is affected, but can't manage to get out of this circle of trucks just going. They can't hop onto one of the trucks. Maybe do that. Just it's one of those. Like you have options, people. And then in the long saga of the 80s, we come to Friday the 13th, part 6. Jason lives. What was it? The New Beginning last time, and now he's the New Beginning, and now he lives.
Yep. Again
For the 6th time now, which came out August 1st by Tom McLaughlin, which got a 6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, which stars Tom Matthews, who was also one of the main leads in Return of the Living Dead, as Tommy, Jennifer Koch as Megan, Renee Jones as Sissy, and CJ Graham as Jason. Tommy Jarvis exhumes Jason Voorhees to cremate his corpse, but inadvertently brings him back to life instead. The newly revived killer seeks revenge, and Tommy may be the only one who can stop him. I want to know how he messed this up that bad that he revived him instead of I have questions that I need answers to. And then to end out 86, which came out August 15th, we get The Fly with old Jeffrey.
Yes.
Which came out by David Cronenberg. Got a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, where we got Jeff Goldblum as Seth Brundle, Gina Green as Veronica Qualf, and John Getz as Stathosporins.
Gotta love Jeffrey Goldblum.
We love Jeffrey here. We stand Jeffrey. Apparently so, Abe. I don't understand how you screw it up that bad that you're trying to go cremate him and you bring him back to life. But when scientist Seth Brundle completes his teleportation device, he decides to test its abilities on himself. Unbeknownst to him, a housefly slips in during the process, leading to a merger of man and insect. Initially, Brundle appears to have undergone a successful teleportation, but the fly's cells began to take over his body. As he becomes increasingly fly-like, Brundle's girlfriend is horrified as the person she once loved deteriorates into a monster. But we still love you, Jeffrey.
It's a great movie.
It very much is.
Great movie. Love it. Let's see. Also in 86, we have The Abomination, April Fool's Day, great movie, Blood Hook, Breeders, Cassandra, Chopping Mall. If you haven't seen Chopping Mall, you got to see this movie. It's really great. I know it sounds like it's not going to be all that great, but it's really good. We've got Class of Newcomb High, Critters, another good one.
Yes.
Lots of great movies in 86. We have Dead End Drive-In, Deadly Friend, Dead Time Stories, another great movie. Um, Demoner, Demons 2, Dramatic, Entrails of a Beautiful Woman, Entrails of a Virgin, Escapes, From Beyond, Gothic, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, The Hitcher, House, one of my favorites. I love House and House 2. Great movies. If you haven't seen them, I definitely recommend those. We have Invaders from Mars, Killer Party, Link, Little Shop of Horrors. Great movie. Gotta see
Yep.
it.
That is number 2 on my list of favorite movies.
Yep. Manhunter, Maximum Overdrive, Mountaintop Motel Massacre, Necropolis, Neon Maniacs, Night of the Creeps, Night Ripper, Nightmare Weekend, Nomads, Poltergeist 2: The Other Side, Psycho 3, Rawhead Rex, Shadows Run Black, Slaughter High, Sorority House Massacre. We've got that one. Spookies, Terror at 10 Killer, Terror Vision, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, The Tomb, Troll, Truth or Dare, A Critical Madness, Vamp, Vicious Lips, The Vindicator, Witchboard, great movie, and The Wrath, also another great movie. So 86 was a really great year for horror movies. Lots of great movies came out that year. I know you love Chopping Mall, Abe. It is a great movie.
I have not seen
Yeah.
that one, but I have heard good things about it.
Yeah, lots of good ones on that list.
A lot of good ones for 86, and we've got a lot of good ones for 88 as well. And the 86, 87, 88. I mean, the 80s is just a all around. I do partially agree with Abe from earlier on it being like a lot of oversaturatedness, but there are still a heck of a lot of good ones.
I think I
So
did say that wrong. It's The Wraith, Abe.
the Wraith.
Yeah, Wraith.
Okay.
Great movie, even if I pronounced it wrong.
Oh well, it was still good. So we will start out 87 with Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, which came out February 27th by Chuck Russell, which of course starred Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson, Patricia Arquette as Kristen Parker, and Lawrence Fishburne as Max. During a hallucinatory incident, young Kristen Parker has her wrists slashed by dream-stalking monster Freddy Krueger. Her mother, mistaking the wounds for a suicide attempt, sends Kristen to a psychiatric ward where she joins a group of similarly troubled teens. One of the doctors there is Nancy Thompson, who had battled Freddy some years before. Nancy senses a potential in Kristen to rid the world of Freddy once and for all.
Great movie. It's fantastic.
Very much so. And then our long anticipated Evil Dead 2,
Yes.
which came out March 13th by Sam Raimi. It's got a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb and an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, where, of course, once again, we get Bruce Campbell as Ash. Dan Hicks as Jake, Denise Bixler as Linda, and Cassie DePava as Bobby Joe.
Great movie.
The
It's
second
hilarious.
of the second of three films in the Evil Dead series, part horror, part comedy, with Ash Williams once again battling horrifying demons at a secluded cabin in the woods. After discovering an audio tape left by a college professor that contains voices reading from the Book of the Dead, Ash's girlfriend Linda becomes possessed by evil spirits that are awakened by the voice on the tape. Ash soon discovers there is no escaping the woods. Such a great one.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen the Evil Dead movies, they're a must watch.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
classics.
That was definitely my favorite out of the three originals. Just for Ash coming into his own. Just how goofy he is.
I love it.
And then another classic, we have Predator, which came out June 12th by John McTiernan, which got a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb and an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, of course, stars Arnold as Dutch, Carl Weathers as Dylan, Kevin Peter Hall as the Predator, and Sonny Lantham as Billy. Dutch, a soldier of fortune, is hired by the U.S. government to secretly rescue a group of politicians trapped in Guatemala. But when Dutch and his team, which includes weapons expert Blaine and CIA agent George, land in Central America, something is wrong. After finding a string of dead bodies, the crew discovers they are being hunted by a brutal creature with superhuman strength and the ability to disappear into its surroundings. So
Great movie.
another classic.
Yeah. Great movie.
And then another one we have been looking forward to here, which came out July 31st, is The Lost Boys by Joel Schumacher. It's got a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, which stars Corey Haim as Sam Emerson, good old Kiefer Sutherland as David, Jason Patric as Michael, and Corey Feldman as Edgar.
This is definitely one of my favorites.
Gotta love Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, yeah.
Teenage brothers Michael and Sam move with their mother to a small town in Northern California, while the younger Sam meets a pair of kindred spirits and geeky comic book nerds Edward and Alan. The angst-ridden Michael soon falls for Star, who turns out to be enthralled to David, leader of a local gang of vampires. Sam and his new friends must save Michael and Star from the undead. And this is one that I went and actively had to go seek because it was also not on the list of all the other ones, and I had to. It still does qualify as horror. I was just surprised / upset not to see it on the other list, but
Ooh.
I had to add the Monster Squad on there.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
I thought
yes,
you were talking about the Lost Boys. I was like, what?
Yeah, no, Lost Boys was all over everything. But I'll look at several different lists to compile my choices before kind of narrowing them down. And I was like, nobody's putting the Monster Squad on here anywhere. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Are they still technically labeling that as horror? And I was like, yeah, it's labeled as horror, but why isn't it on there?
That's weird.
So
It's on
that
my list. I have.
I went and had to go look it up. I was just
Huh,
surprised it wasn't on there. Same with the Toxic Avenger wasn't on my
it
lists
wasn't on
either.
my list either. Yeah,
Uh, which that was released August 14th by Fred Decker. Got a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb and a 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, which starred Andrew Gower as Sean, Robbie Kiger as Patrick, Ashley Bank as Phoebe, and Tom Noonan as Frankenstein's monster. Let's see, hold on. We've got to go through our different monsters here. We've got Duncan Regher as Dracula and Tom Woodruff Jr. as Gilman. Michael Reed McKay as the Mummy. And we also have Jack Gwillem as Van Helsing. Hold on
great
just a
movie.
second. Okay, so five youngsters find themselves up against the combined might of Dracula, the Mummy, the Gilman, and Frankenstein's monster, who arrive in town in search of a magical amulet and in search of Wolfman Snards.
I'm really surprised that wasn't on some of the
Yeah,
lists.
I was too. Because that was one of the first ones that I thought of. I just wasn't sure what year it went under. And I was like, okay, well, I'll wait. Like, okay, I can't find it anywhere. So I'm not sure what the different lists were looking under exactly or what their specifications were, but I was like, I'm adding that in there because screw their list.
I love it.
And then our last one for 87, which is another long series that I absolutely love, is Hellraiser, which came out September 18th by Clive Barker. It's got a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb and a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, which of course stars Doug Bradley as Pinhead, Ashley Lawrence as Christy Cotton, Claire Higgins as Julia, and Sean Chapman as Frank.
There's some very interesting movies.
Very much so. I only really much cared for the first one, but I like the idea and the like I guess what you would consider the body horror of them. I think is very interesting.
Hmm.
So sexual deviant Frank inadvertently opens a portal to hell when he tinkers with a box he bought while abroad. The act unleashes the gruesome beings called Cenobites who tear Frank's body apart. When Frank's brother and his wife Julia move into Frank's old house, they accidentally bring what is left of Frank back to life. Frank then convinces Julia, his one time lover, to lure men back to the house so he can use their blood to reconstruct himself. I thought that was very interesting about the movie. That was kind of what piqued my interest, that he had to use these people to bring himself back.
Yeah, they're great movies.
But that is what I have of the last of 87. So, what else
All
do we have,
right.
ma'am?
We have Enigma, Alien Predator, Angel Heart, Anguissa, and Gustia, I think is actually how that's pronounced. We have Backwoods, Bad Taste, Bay Coven, The Believers, The Berserker, Blood Diner, Blood Frenzy, Blood Harvest, Blood Lake, Blood Rage, Blood Sisters, Bloody New Year, Blue Monkey,
Another blood
Cannibal.
year.
Yeah. We have Cannibal Hookers, Chillers, Creepazoids, Creepshow 2, The Curse, Dark Age, Deliria, Demon of Paradise, Deranged, Dolls, Doom Asylum, Epidemic, Evil Spawn, Evil Town, Faceless, Forever Evil, Ghost Riders, The Gate, Grizzly 2 The Concert, never seen it. Like, that sounds interesting. We have Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2, fantastic movie.
Yes. Yep.
We have The Hidden, Howling 3. The Howling movies are fantastic. House 2, love House 2. I'm not even sure. I think I almost like House 2 more than House. They're just great movies. We have It's Alive 3, Island of the Alive, Jack's Back, Jaws the Revenge. Gotta love all the Jaws movies.
Yep.
Killer Workout, Killing Birds, Raptors. We've got Killing Spree, The Kindred, The Lamp, Lucifer, Mind Killer, Monster in the Closet, Moon and Scorpio, Munchies, great movie. And no, it's not what we get after 10 p.m. or, around 4:20. My Best Friend is a Vampire, Near Dark, Necromantic, Night Flyers, Night Screams, Night Vision, The Offspring, Open House, Opera, Out of the Dark, Prince of Darkness, Prison, Psychos in Love. I thought that sounded pretty interesting. Also, this one, Redneck Zombies. I'm
Didn't you
like,
just watch that one not too long ago? Or somebody mentioned that one.
I
Maybe
can't
it was
remember. It
somebody mentioned that one.
made me think of Dell and Tucker again.
It's possible.
We have Retribution, Return to Horror High, A Return to Salem's Lot, Rock and Roll Nightmare, Scared Stiff, Shallow Grave, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, Slaughterhouse, Slumber Party Massacre 2, Spectre, The Stay Awake, The Stepfather, Street Trash, Summer Camp Nightmare, Terror Night, Twisted Nightmare, Until Death, Video Dead. I think I've seen that one. Zombie Death House, Zombie High, and Zombie Nightmare.
So a lot of blood and zombies. Gotcha.
Yes. A lot of, what was it? Evils?
A lot of blood and evil and death.
Yeah. Blood Diner, Blood Frenzy, Blood Harvest, Blood Lake. Like,
All right, come on, guys. We need a
yeah.
new.
Do we need to stop there for tonight?
We certainly can, because I know we've
Uh,
got quite a bit for 88 and a
yes.
good bit for 89.
88 is going to take a minute.
All right, yeah. We can add that on to the beginning of the 90s.
Yep. So in 2 weeks, we will start with 1988 and go through to the beginning of the 90s.
Because
Maybe, well,
I have a feeling we'll make it partially through the 90s because
yeah,
the
it's
90s is going to be a doozy.
yeah, we're gonna get a lot of movies for the 90s and a lot of things we want to talk about in the
Yeah,
90s.
yeah, yeah, most definitely.
So many great movies. They get better and better um, as we get through the end of the 80s into the early 90s. And
And then I feel like it kind of takes a nosedive once we get past the 90s, but
Yeah. Even the later 90s, it's like,
yeah. Yeah, all right. We can stop now.
yep. But thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight and telling us all about um, what you like and everything. And jump in there anytime. We like to hear
Absolutely.
what your favorite movies are and everything, and what you liked and didn't like.
Yeah, and any of
Yeah,
your memories with the movies that we're talking about, and we love hearing everybody's stories. So we appreciate you all being here in the comments with us and just hanging out for our goofiness. And don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe.
share
And
so
once,
all of your friends can subscribe.
yes, yes. And another thank you to Ross at Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio. Uh, what was the other one?
WZQR Pine Island and Right Talk.
And yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you all again very soon.
Have a great night.